Welcome to Lunch with the Lord. I'm Pastor Mark. We're in Mark chapter 12. We're going to be starting verse 13 this lesson. But before we begin, Jeremiah 15 verse 16. Thy words were found, and I did eat them. And thy word was unto me the joy and the rejoicing of my heart. Now, as we see here in Mark chapter 12, starting at verse 13, we're going to see Jesus is questioned about paying taxes to Caesar. In verses 13 to 17, they question Jesus about paying taxes to Caesar. So it says here in verse 13, and they send unto him certain of the Pharisees and of the Herodians to catch him in his words. And when they were come, they said unto him, Master, we know that you are true, and you care for no man, for you regard not the person of men, but teach the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? Shall we give or shall we not give? But Jesus, knowing their hypocrisy, said unto them, Why are you tempting me? Bring me a penny that I may see it. And they brought it. And he said unto them, Whose is this image on this penny? Right? And they said unto him, Well, it's Caesar's. And Jesus answering and said unto them, Well, then give unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and give to God the things that are God's. And they marveled at him. Now, the Pharisees in this instance, it's not the old Pharisees that came to him now. The Pharisees seem to be disguising this trickery by using their disciples. If you turn to Matthew chapter 22, it says here in verse 16, and they, Matthew 22:16 says, and they, meaning the Pharisees sent out unto them, who? Their disciples. So the Pharisees, the old tried and true Pharisees, are sending out to Jesus, their disciples. So these are the young bucks, right? The young ones that are going to try and, how do they say? They're going to try and cut their teeth on Jesus now, right? So it says they sent out their disciples with the Herodians, saying, same thing. Master, we know that you're true and you teach the way of God, neither care for any man, and you don't regard the person of men. So here they're trying to butter up Jesus. They have a trickery, but they want to coat the trickery with a they want to, how can I say, coat it with something nice, right? They want to put a nice coat on their trick. They knew that Jesus was a very straightforward teacher. So they were straightforward in their question. And their question is in verses 14 and 15 of Mark chapter 12. All right? Verse 14 and 15. It says, Master, we know you're true, right? Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? Shall we give or shall we not give? And this is black and white. Is it lawful for us to give? Shall we or shall we not? There was much disagreement in Israel as to the subject of paying taxes to Caesar. Now, the taxes that we referred to here are the general census tax, which taxed every person in the nation, and the money went into the Roman treasury. So the tax here, that is, when the taxes that they're referring to, that these Pharisees are referring to, is basically the general tax. the tax that every person had to pay for being a part of the Roman Empire. And that money went into the Roman treasury. Now, overall, it was generally agreed that paying taxes to Rome was wrong. And to some of them, that it was even against the Jewish religion to pay taxes. Now, this trap that was being set was not on the ground of religion, but it was on the ground of politics. Would Jesus take the side of Rome? And if he did, he would alienate himself and become the enemy of the majority of the Jewish nation. Or would Jesus take the side of the Jews and set himself as opposed to the Roman government? To side with the Jews would look like he was encouraging the Jews to rebel against Rome. And to side with Rome would look as if he were giving up hope on Israel's future kingdom, something that Jesus had been proclaiming for his whole ministry. So it's a very straightforward question. Do we pay taxes or do we not pay taxes? And it seems like there's either a yes or a no answer. And there's nowhere for Jesus. And whichever side he takes, he's going to be opposed by the other side. Now, Jesus saw behind their facade of seemingly asking an honest question, right? The facade is that this is an honest question. We're Jews. We don't like the Romans being here. We don't like them telling us what to do. We don't like them in control of our country. And we don't feel that we should have to pay taxes to them. And it seems like a very cut and dry question that they bring to Jesus, right? And therefore, it's an honest question. But behind the question, there's a trickery involved because they want to get Jesus to take one side or the other so that they can blame him. Matthew says in verse 18 that they were hypocrites and that their question was to tempt and to test Jesus because they were wicked. Let's read verse 18. Let's read that. It says, "But Jesus perceived" what? "Their wickedness. And he said, Why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites?" Right? So Jesus is seeing behind this seemingly innocent question. After admitting that the coin had Caesar's face on it, Jesus tells them to give to Caesar his just due of taxes, which would also be honoring God by obeying the authority that is over them. And they are to give to God the things that belong to God. Since we ourselves are made in the image of God, then we owe to God our whole life. So what Jesus is saying here is, by paying taxes to Caesar, you're honoring Caesar because he requests these taxes and the money is his in the first place anyways. But not only are you honoring Caesar, but you're honoring God who put Caesar in rule over you. Now, but to give to God what he deserves, God made us and God designed us. And we are to render to God what belongs to God. And what belongs to God? Our life belongs to God. Ultimately, since Caesar was set up by God to have authority over them, they must support Caesar by the paying of taxes. And since their very being was given to them by God, then they owe God their whole life. So the money belongs to, what Jesus is saying was, don't worry about giving money and taxes to Caesar. It's what's owed him. It's okay. And it's okay in the eyes of God to pay the taxes to Caesar. But there's something more that you owe. You need to render to God what belongs to God. Well, what belongs to him? Our life. He made us. Jesus maintained Caesar's right to collect taxes, but also he maintained Israel's hope to one day be ruled by their Messiah. So Jesus was saying that I know that it's tough having Rome, over you and having a Caesar over you. But for now, this is God's will for you, and it's right to pay taxes, and it's good in the eyes of God to pay taxes. But there's something more than that. You owe God your life. On this coin is the image of Caesar, but on your heart, you were made in the image of God. So give this coin to Caesar. It belongs to him. Pay it to him. That's fine. And God, this is what God's will. Pay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. But you owe God what belongs to him. You were made in the image of God. You have God's image stamped upon your heart. You need to give to God what belongs to him, your life. All right? We're going to continue on in Mark chapter 12 and verse 18 next lesson. But until then, walk with the Lord. I know he walks with you.